Hey, it's me again. Time to talk about the memo to Madison. What you are going to be doing for this assignment is you, the student, are going to be reading two primary sources written during the War of 1812. You are going to compare the evidence of the two arguments, someone who is for the War of 1812 and someone who opposes the War of 1812. You're also going to note if there's any similarities or differences between someone who supports the war and someone who opposes the war. Then I'm going to ask you to make a decision. Which side would you support and why? Finally, you are going to create start sentences for the person who is for the war and for the person who opposes the war. And finally, you are going to create not one, but two 10% summaries, one for each of the arguments. And you have your rubric here of how you're going to be graded for this assignment. So let's take a dive deeper into what exactly the assignment entails. So here is our assignment, War of 1812, Memo to the President. Step 1, you have to read the primary sources. I provided you with the title, the source, and the author, so your start sentences should be pretty taken care of right now. And the first one is somebody who supports the War of 1812. His name is Felix Grundy, and it's a speech to Congress in December 18. Wow, that's a lot of ones. It should say 1811, so I'm obviously going to be editing this before I share it with you. Then you're going to be reading about someone who opposes the War of 1812. His name is William Coleman, and he happens to be a Federalist journalist. And you're going to be reading about what he thinks about the War of 1812. Then you're going to compare the evidence. Write down some information from the person who supports the war, and then write down information from this person who is against the war. Once you're done there, if you had to pick a side, which would you support? Would you support the guy who is for the war, or would you support the guy who opposes the war? And make sure you tell me why. Step 4, write an amazing start sentence for both arguments. So I want to see 2 start sentences. And then step 5, Mr. Madison is a very, very busy man. He wants to know what the American people think about going to war with Great Britain. Unfortunately, President Madison doesn't have the time to hear every minuscule detail about what people think. He's a very busy person. To help him understand the American people, you are required to create a 10% summary for both of the arguments listed above. So I'm going to be seeing 2 separate, well-written 10% summaries with a start sentence for this assignment, and you are going to submit it by the due date. It is going to be fantastic. I'm going to love reading them. And as always, if you have questions, you know where to find me and you know how to contact me. I like to talk in person. Just remember that. Bye-bye.